Here we go. It's live soon. You hear my voice okay, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for watching the Sashiko talk. This is the third one with a lot of friends from very long time ago because of the COVID. But this is the Sashiko Live. We talk about Sashiko while doing the Sashiko stitching. If you can bring some of your Sashiko project, or it doesn't have to be Sashiko, but if you can bring your project to stitch or to weave, and if you could listen to this or watch this as if it's a radio, that's very much appreciated. That's the community, that's the place I would like to make. So today I have more guests. That's so exciting. And I would like to introduce one by one. This, how can I say it? Just a second, okay? Perfect. The audio is good. So right next to my camera, not a camera screen, this is Z. Thank you so much for coming, Z. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Has
Very good.
been no, not 3 years, 2 years.
Yes. Yes.
Was it
It's
3
been
years ago?
3 now. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
It was in New York. I hope they will reopen again the Pearl Soho.
I hope so.
That's just scary things to even think about.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
And left down, this is Caroline. Hello, Caroline.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Thanks.
You are the one of the first ones. So how? It's not 4 years ago, right? Is it has been
Is
4
it?
years?
Is it that long? Wow.
Maybe.
Yeah, I
maybe.
think that could be though. Sure. I know.
Ah,
I've always done a lot of crafts, so it was great to add sashiko to my list of crafts.
thank you so much. It's really.
I love it. And
It's
it just
really-
goes in with other things, like it just, I will mix sashiko with other creative projects. It's really fun.
Yes, I have some of her work on my website somewhere. So I will find the link later on. And next to that is the Sharon from the last time. Thank you so much for coming again. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I
This
can see
month-
your work today and I can see
I
my face too.
know. A little bit your face.
Right.
That's so I can see your face. I could try putting it up higher if that's disturbing.
Oh, it's not disturbing. It's really actually good. So I can see
Okay, good.
what I'm doing. All right. There was a request to talk about I'm sorry. There was a request to talk with a topic, but it is kind of difficult to just continue talking on the topic. So at some point, I will ask the friends today, what is sashiko for them? If you take my workshop, probably you remember that, but I really do not teach what sashiko is or how you should think what sashiko is. Toward the end of the workshop, I try to say that you can expand your experience of sashiko with your own experience. I'm the inside of the box. I want you to go outside. In different world, I'm the past, you're the future. That's kind of cooler way to say it recently. My English is getting better, by the way, so that's that's good. But I want to hear how they developed, not even developed, how they practice sashiko in their ordinary. And but it's not. I'm not gonna ask one by one right after that. So can you show me what you're working on? It's not even a topic, but oh my god, it's cool. How are you? How are
here.
you? Go ahead. Thank you.
I can show you what I'm working on.
That sounds good.
So I have this panel. It's a square. So do you know Miniature Rhino by any chance?
Yeah. She's the
Okay. She has a book called Make and Mend.
right. Yeah.
And she
I've-
actually has this panel, this club where she sends out these panels and then
Oh,
you can stitch them. So this is one of her panels. That's what she sent out, but I actually put another fabric on the back. now this is the front that's got a nice pattern on it.
Oh.
So you can see my stitching, but there's also Japanese fabric
Mhm.
in the back. It's printed. It's not vintage textile. It's new. But so I stitched this and now I am sewing up all the edges. So actually you can see now I just pinned it up to sew up all the edges. And now I am going to make it into a bag. So I'm going to sew all the edges so that they're finished. And then I'm going to put all the corners here toward the center and stitch them like that to make a bag.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I'm sorry, I probably missed it, but did you stitch two layers together?
Yeah, I did. I stitched
So
2 layers together.
one layer. Okay.
One layer was hers that she sent with the printed design on it, and I added on the other side
And
this
you're not gonna back
Japanese fabric. No,
You're
I'm
not-
not gonna line it. I'm not
All
gonna
right.
line it. That's right. I'm gonna finish all the edges so I don't have to line it.
Exciting. You stitch so fast too. Ay. How long did it take to stitch that much? I mean, the speed is not everything,
The
but
weekend. I don't know.
you don't know.
Well,
That's
and
a good-
actually, before I did the stitching, of course, I had to baste the 2 pieces of fabric together
right.
to make sure. And the basting took almost as long as the stitching. The basting, because anyway. So I did the basting, then I did the stitching, then I took out the basting.
Well, it happens. Preparing the fabric is more.
I don't mind. Yeah, preparing sometimes, but it's important because if you don't prepare, then it comes out looking awful. So that's no good.
Yep. So such many people, think that sashiko is just about stitching right now here, but my artisans always told me that the preparing the fabric is as important as actual stitching. So they all made fun of me back then. Anyway, thank you so much for sharing, Caroline. And how can I say, attractive look on Sharon's hand. It's vintage katazome, right?
Yes, it is.
Aye.
It's. I have more of it
Aye.
here, and you can see
Just
it's part of it has just so many holes and is threadbare, and part of it is beautiful and almost new looking. And so I just have been putting pieces of it on. This is back as a linen skirt that I bought and cut up because I could, and I like the feel of it. And then I put the katazome pieces on and then stitch on it. And then I will turn it into a bucket bag. And I bought a bunch of glass cylinders at Goodwill so that you can do something like this and use it to store. This was the first one I made with this fabric.
Wow.
And just made the little loops, and then you can use it to store your tools. Like these pens that will mark on dark fabric, they're supposed to be white, but they have to be stored tip down. So I have the solution now.
I put my hand in my mouth because I completely forgot I was on the live. It's so amazing. Did you know that the Japanese did the same thing in like 300 years ago?
No, I have some of the rice bags. This reminds me a little bit of the rice bags, except that with those, the bottom would be, this has a round bottom. I'm going to make some with square bottoms too, but so far I've been doing round bottoms. But yes, it's very similar.
This is in my city's things, but they made the kind of backpack out of bamboo or little tree, like a twig. They covered it exactly as you did, with the fabric around.
Oh, neat.
So it is a little bigger than what you made or what
I'm
you
going to
made.
make some bigger ones too, but
Okay.
yes, the smaller ones are easier, but I have a lot of really lovely Japanese fabrics, and well, certainly ones like this that have so many holes in them.
Mhm.
What can you do? But the holes are interesting on this, to use the different colors. But you can't really sew something out of it very easily, except when you patch it like this. So
Wow.
seems like a good way to use some of the fabric I have.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think you're gonna stitch to the bin, or do you think you can redo it, like undo the tailoring part, like undo the finishing part? Because at some point you might need to mend more. So can you mend if something that kind
Yeah.
of things up?
Oh yeah, you could. You could mend it. I mean, I could mend this because I can take the thing I put inside out.
Oh yeah, that's what I meant. That's what I meant. Yes. Perfect.
Yeah, I can just take that out, turn it inside out, and do whatever I need to.
Oh, it's so neat.
Yeah.
I
And you
wanna
could use
see-
it as a little bag if you wanted to carry it around too, I guess, but
Right.
it
Wow.
would get more worn then.
Thank
so
you
I-
so, thank you so much. Great. How about you, Z? I mean,
Well, I had stopped doing my sashiko work for a little while. I was
Okay.
doing some traditional American basic quilt things,
I want to
but
see that.
yeah, I'll show you that another time. But basically, I've just been creating patterns for myself, using some of the traditional, but just making patterns for myself. And this particular fabric is on timeout because it's very, very fine weave. And I find that although I want to stitch like a 95-year-old man, it wants to go in a race car. So I have to slow down on that one. And then just other pieces, traditional pieces.
Oh, it's
I
blurry.
don't
It
have a,
blurs that. Okay.
oh, okay, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
so it's
Is
a perfect.
that better?
Wow. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So basically,
Wow.
just panels I'm doing, practicing my stitching again, getting into the rhythm of the unshin, and going from there. And then if I could, one last one. I did try to make a little bag, just a little, I put 2 little fish on it because I'm a Pisces. And who knows? I mean, that one's just a little practice piece. That's it.
Sounds good.
That's it.
Thank
yeah.
you so much for.
You're
like,
welcome.
It's very, very, very simple question, but I don't know if it's okay to even ask, but do you enjoy sashiko?
Me personally, I love sashiko. When I was very small, my mother taught me to do European embroidery. That was
Okay.
my first craft. So I abandoned it for years and years and picked up knitting instead. So I've been primarily doing that.
Okay.
And then, of course, we met and I picked this up and I'm just fascinated by it. And it just brings me a lot of comfort, especially with COVID and other crazy things that are out of our control. You just have this calmness that comes to you as you're doing it. And although I admire other people who are making wonderful, beautiful projects, to me, it's not the project. It's just the journey and working with the thread and having it in my hand and just losing my thoughts. And that's it.
And that's your sashiko. Look
Yeah.
at mine. I just stitched only straight lines recently. Like only this. Just to make sure I'm not losing my mind. Well, I might be losing my mind when I do this, but in order to not lose my mind in the daily life, I try to lose my mind in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm so happy. Well, I mean, I'm so glad that sashiko became sort of part of your life. Is it okay to say that? I mean, I'm asking
Yes.
everybody, but is that okay to say that?
Yes, absolutely. It is a part of my life. Again, there's not only the mental part of it that brings me that peace, but it's very strange, but I think I've said this to you. I feel the connection to the people who used to do this somehow. And I know for some folks, they hear that and they say, oh, she's a little crazy. But you do feel it. You feel something in your hand, almost something spiritual in your hand. And you're creating something and you're continuing a tradition that was probably not a happy time then, but it makes us a little happier now. So that's what it feels like for me. I can't see not doing this anymore.
I have a kind of following up question to that, and to actually 3 of you. Do you think it will be considered strange to feel something over materialistic. So Z said that she feels something spiritual, if it's not the wrong word, something there over the actual materials. It is quite ordinary, quite normal for the Japanese people to do that, because we actually go to the shrine to, pray. So I was wondering if it's too strange. Was it strange for you to even listen to that? How was that? I mean, anybody can speak up.
Well,
I don't find it weird.
Okay.
I think it makes sense.
Okay.
yeah. And I think I might express it differently, but I certainly understand. This piece had, my cousin looked at it this morning and said, well, are you going to take those basting stitches out? I said, no, those were put there 100 years ago or something. I didn't put that on. So I'm going to leave it. I think it's cool. It had one patch on it. And I think they, long ago, they were making do because they had to, but they were respecting the fabric and they were caring for their people. And I think that we continue to respect the fabric. It feels so wonderful after you put the stitches on. It's stronger and it just has such a lovely texture. And I think of the people who used it before, and the people who will use it in the future too. So yeah, that's how I don't know.
No, you do good. I mean, that's what I wanted to hear. And you don't feel weird, Caroline? You said it doesn't.
No,
It's
not
not-
at all. I
no?
think working on vintage pieces of fabric is a super special feeling, like Sharon was saying. I'm not doing that now. This is all new. So it doesn't have as much of that feeling. Yeah, but when you're holding or working on something that someone worked on 100 years ago or even 50 years ago, there's something really special about that. I agree. It does feel sort of mystical or sort of connecting.
Yeah. Yeah, if I could add to that too, Sushi.
Go ahead.
I haven't worked on a vintage fabric, and I think it's almost like I'm afraid to, like I'm afraid that I'm going to imprint my taste or whatever you want to call it, and maybe ruin something, and that's just me. I feel that way about lots of things.
Well, that's a respect, but
Yeah,
once
yeah.
you own it, I think the fabric expect you to be the hair for that.
The very
yeah.
first thing that I did sashiko and repairs on was a Boro jacket that I got from my aunt, and it had some threadbare places along the hem, and so I fixed it. And then a few years later, well, actually it was after I did the workshop with Atsuchi, I went back and I was just appalled at my repairs, and I took them out and I did them again, so you can't tell they're there.
Yeah.
So the first time, it was enough to hold it together, but then I learned how to do it better, so I did.
So interesting.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's an issue. The issue of using old fabric. Yeah, I mean, it's important to sort of respect that fabric, though. There's there's a sort of balance between doing something that furthers the intention of the original maker and doing something that destroys that. And I think that's a problem in general with sashiko, is that there is this history of Boro, of people doing what they had to do to stay warm or to make. And so now, I mean, I think I want to be really careful about what I call sashiko and what I don't, what I call Boro and what I don't, because I think I don't want to just assume that, like, oh, this is a fun hobby for me, and that's what it was back in the day, because it absolutely was not. And I want to make sure I'm respectful of that.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure I always know how to be respectful of that, I guess.
Well, look, thinking about it is already a sign of respect. So that's all I'm asking. I'm not, I don't want to make. I don't want to be a leader. I don't want you to just follow what I say. I just want you to pass over me, and I will follow you if you don't drop something important. So one thing I want to say, I think I have to explain at some point, which I didn't really do a good job in actual workshop, but there's two phases of Sashiko. One is completely survival that we know, like Boro, as Caroline said, it's 100% survival. They didn't have enough choice to enjoy patterns. That's even before Edo period. The Sashiko we know is the kind of second phase or second era, second generation, we call it. In that time, they had a chance, they had an opportunity, they had a sort of, not a freedom, but they had a wealth enough to enjoy Sashiko. And that's my family's from. So it is a little bit of time lag between the Japanese who had to practice Sashiko and the Sashiko we kind of see today. So as long as we kind of follow, not even follow that, as long as we know it is from Japan and past, that's kind of what I'm. If I can ask something, that's what I'm asking. I will share one more kind of not a crazy, creepy story, but this I wanted to share this one. But since my childhood, my mother sometimes talked to the fabric by herself at night. So in her room, I hear her talking to somebody at night, like 11 p.m. or something. So it's kind of, so first that was scary, but after living with her for what, 18 years, 19 years, it became pretty normal. When I came to the US, it was quite difficult to, not even difficult, different. We American people, or the people believing one God, the God that my mother believes in the fabric. So it was very interesting to adjust.
Was she
Oh.
working while she talked to the fabric, or was she just talking to it?
I believe she stitches when she talks, but she doesn't show. She can demonstrate it in front of you. She will teach you how to do that, but she doesn't really share the moment of her time. Like that night is her prime time. So she kind of closed herself inside of the room, and I don't even know how she stitches in those times. I don't know if she's a human in that time. I have no idea. It's my mom.
So that if you were visiting her, you guys wouldn't sit together and stitch.
I would. We wouldn't. If there is a specific purpose, like let's say, let's make this jacket together, we will stitch together, sitting together. But
Okay.
she has her own time that she needs, I guess.
Private stitching time.
Private stitching time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I used to think that some alien takes over her, or I was a kid, so I get all of the imagination. But I think she was just talking to the fabric, or like layering her imagination to the previous people.
Yeah.
And that's what you talked about. But that was creepy for me when I was a child. But after that, it became kind of, I understand it. Sorry, there was a question. I wonder what advice your guest would give to those getting into Sashiko or Boro. Very good question.
Practice. Just do it a lot and you get better.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Just
That's my first
practice
one. Yeah.
and think about the rhythm, not the stitches.
Yes, I agree. I would say try to just take a little time to understand what it is that you are doing, how it came about, and then take your time and practice. Also, be careful who you learn from. There's so much misinformation, and it makes it trite. And this is not something that's right. There was a purpose to it. And yes, we're fortunate today that we have the ability to enjoy it as a hobby and creative outlet. But, there was a lot of sadness behind it, and try to respect that. That's what I would say.
Great, thank you.
And I think it's a lot more fun when you're creative and playful with it rather than
Yes.
just like putting particular stitches in places where they're marked. I don't really
Thank you.
like understand why that would be fun.
Me neither. It's not my favorite.
It's so interesting that everybody started just a few years ago. That's like, I cannot believe it. I mean,
It's your influence. Your influence. You did
Yeah.
this.
You're a good teacher.
You're a good teacher.
I told Sharon this, but I'm kind of jealous of you that you have little more time than I do to stitch. I have a 6-year-old daughter, so
Yeah, but I didn't have
Well,
time to stitch
I have a
when I had
job.
3 kids that young.
Yeah.
It's
have
a
a job.
seasons of life.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's my excuse. That's my excuse to not to stitch. So I'm
That's
not.
okay.
It's just a joke. Not
We'll
even a
come
joke.
back. We'll come
And-
back to you in 10 years when she's grown up. And
Yeah, you'll have lots of time.
And I have a lot of competing hobbies too. It's like,
Well,
well,
you
today, am I
are,
gonna
you are.
spin? Am I gonna knit? Am I gonna sew? Am I gonna
Yeah.
sashiko? Like, there's a lot to choose from. So, you know,
do you find yourself, Caroline, basically taking from one and applying to another?
yeah,
Do you
for
find
sure.
yourself doing that? Yeah, me
Yes.
too.
I saw some pieces from Caroline that she mixes two things. What was that?
Oh, here, I could show you. I've done, let's see, does this count? I guess it counts, maybe. Where I did eco printing. And then I did stitching on top for this. Here, hold on. That's where I store all my different sashiko thread. But in this,
I have to show you.
so yeah, so I did printing on leaf printing on fabric,
Just a second.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Fun.
wow.
and then I
Nice.
stitched on top of it and stitched it together all by hand.
Oops, that's lovely.
So things like that.
Wait. So
Pretty
that's
cool.
what did you say? It's a dye? Dye?
No, it's
I'm sorry.
it's
I
called
completely-
eco printing is what they're calling it, but you basically use leaves and you put the leaves directly on the fabric.
Mm.
And you have to use a mordant. You have to use a chemical mordant, which is iron sulfate usually. And then it's the tannin in the leaves themselves that actually makes the print on the and then you steam it. And that's
Does
the
it-
India
tannin that
Flint.
makes the print. Yes, India Flint.
Flint.
This-
Yeah,
This person.
tells a lot how to do it. She's really cool.
Yeah.
Does
Eco
it come
color.
off?
This is her
Yes.
book. No,
This
it
is on
doesn't
my-
come off.
No?
It doesn't come off. You can wash it.
Great.
It stays.
Wow.
So I've been doing some of that and then stitching on top of that
Oh, I see. See,
with
Mm.
sashiko thread.
it's so mesmerizing to see those. I'm learning new words, but
Yeah. Or here's
I'm
another piece,
s- Wow.
Really pretty.
another corner,
Oh, wow.
and you can see the stitching around the edge.
That's
The more
great.
I see those implementation, I feel like what I do is pretty boring. But I know you said that you know that's not true. But you know it's good. It's good that what I do is boring because there's a reason that I do this. But I used to. I didn't say that I want you to try to find your own sashiko in the first few workshop, but they used sashiko to mix. Well, you know, Caroline's one of those, and also Sharon, Jane. I mean, they're not here today, but they were those first people who show me the possibility. It's not traditional much, but they know they inherited the rhythm, so I can feel the rhythm, but that's not something I can make. I don't think I can make, but it looks very much sashiko. So it's not how it looks, to be honest. It's more like how you approach, how we approach. So
Mm.
then I can probably lead to this question, but what is sashiko for you? Anybody would like
Oh
to
my
volunteer
goodness.
to start?
Wow.
Like, how did you, like, you probably knew what sashiko was before,
No.
and now you didn't know?
No, no.
Oh.
What happened was I was in a horrifically stressful job. I mean,
Oh, I'm
very stressful, where it was affecting my health. And Pearl Soho, I would get their newsletter, and in it was your course. And I said, oh, needle and thread and some cloth. Oh, it's Japanese. Oh, it's traditional. Okay, I think I'll try that. And I had no idea. So I walked in with a completely empty mind until we met, and I took to it right away. And
wow.
yeah, it just, it's very different from Western embroidery technique. Very different. I never felt the same rhythm or just peaceful movement that I do when I work on regular embroidery. That's a very specific, the stitches have to be just so, the patterns have to be just so. With this, it's almost like I let the needle go wherever it wants to go that day. So that's what it's
So
like to me. To me,
did
it's
you-
very, it's the spiritual is a strange word to use, but I can't find another one to tell you how it's very freeing and relaxing. And
Please
it
tell
just,
me the word if you find out.
yeah, I will.
'Cause I wanna I think I have a pretty good memory, but you were sitting right next to me in the front.
Yes, I was
Ah.
trying to help you with the camera that was not
Yeah.
cooperating.
So it was a little bit smaller than I expected, so everybody was kind of
Yes.
close. But I
Yes.
didn't have an impression that that was the first time for you. Wow.
The first time with Sashiko, I knew nothing about Sashiko.
Wow.
Nothing, absolutely nothing.
And you're
And
here today.
yeah, I just took to it. Like they say, fish to water.
Wow. I think I can be a little bit proud of myself.
Yes, you should be very proud of yourself. Also,
you.
the fact that you taught me how to sit up straight.
That's very important.
That was very
I need that
important.
lesson. Yeah.
That class was very important.
Well, I teach, but I don't. So, there's a big difference in teaching and doing. But
Well,
yeah, it's very, very important. It's very important.
I thought it was part of the course curriculum. You had to learn good posture.
Yes, as a teacher, yes. But
Yep.
as a practitioner,
Not so much.
Well, we have that saying, those who can't do, teach.
Now.
I mean, life can be difficult sometimes, so it's okay.
Yes. Yes.
True.
I don't ask anybody to, put the fire on the incense and pray first and then sit straight and stitch full. I don't
No.
I don't expect that. It's some people expect, but it's not that kind of thing. You just
No.
start stitching whenever you can.
Mhm.
So Sashiko is kind of freeing yourself for you.
Yes, it's relaxing, it's freeing, it records my day and my mood. Which, if you're under tremendous stress, as I mentioned, sometimes you're not in touch with how you're feeling that day.
Mm.
And I can see it. And there are days when I say, no, I'm too upset. And I make mistakes. The thread comes out of the needle because I pulled too far, or I've stabbed myself in the finger, or for the 7th time, things like that. And then there are times I just look at the pieces and I remember what was going on in my mind at that time, and it's nice. It's just nice. It's a connection to things.
Do you
Which
think
is,
you can
great.
find the difference by your stitches as like a result? Like if you
Yes.
see this stitches, oh, I was upset, or
Yes,
like this
I
is
do.
wow, this is like a happy
Yes.
stitches. Okay, so you can
Yes,
tell
I
that
do.
which status.
I do. Yes, absolutely. Like this one, I was very relaxed,
Okay.
very relaxed. And I love my kasane. I'm so proud of my kasane. I love doing it. This one, not so much, because I was forced to making big stitches and I hate making big stitches.
So you were kind of angry?
Yeah, so I was like angry at the fabric and the fabric knew it.
That's very
Yeah.
important message that I always tell. But stitches are the mirror of who you are on that day or the time you're stitching.
Mhm.
So it is sometimes stitches tell me that I should sleep, or stitches tell me that I should calm down, or it's
Right.
very interesting to see myself objectively
Mhm.
throughout the Sashiko stitching. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
So if
thank
if you find out some word for that, I really like not a spiritual, but kind of spiritual.
Right.
Yet, you know, it's English word somewhere.
Some people say Zen. I think they understand when you say, "Oh, I found my Zen," or my zone. You know,
Zone might be a good
so
word. Zen.
I'm in my zone. That
Mhm.
kind of thing.
Zone might be a
Yeah,
good way to say it.
that
Zen
might
is
be
a
a good word.
little risky to use it because
Yes, yes.
I don't want
I
to get into that.
apologize.
No, it's okay. You don't have to apologize.
You know
Zone.
what I mean.
Yeah, I knew what I meant. So
Yeah.
zone is a good way to say it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, there's another comment I will read. I will dictate. If you are new to Sashiko, my best advice would be to take very good care of your hand. Watching from Deadwood, South Dakota. Thank you for this
Mhm.
wonderful channel. Yes, yeah.
Wow.
Your hand is very important. It is very true. But at the same
Mhm.
times, um, it's working hand. It's not like a display in the museum. So I want this hand to work. And you know that I stitched for 24 hours. It's so idiot. Well, you can join next time. Can you? Would you like to join this? If
Are
you
you
can find
doing
the
it
time.
again?
Yeah, I will. I'm so stressed out that I cannot live stream. So I will probably do again. But it doesn't hurt my hand. Does it hurt your hand? It's okay that it hurts because it's stitching. But do you feel any pains after stitching? Another
No,
kind
there
of
was
question.
that time, remember when I got that crazy callus from all this stitching? I got a callus right here
Oh,
I remember
from
that.
you. Yeah, and so I couldn't use the metal thimble. I had to find I found a leather thimble.
And I couldn't give you the
Instead.
answer. I couldn't give you
Yeah.
answer why it happened.
I don't know. Maybe it was just the thimble rubbing against my rings. That's
Oh,
my
yeah.
guess. That's my
Well,
guess.
Is it gone or is it still there?
Yeah, no, it went away. Totally went away. I
Mm.
took a little break from Sashiko stitching with I was just doing one hand without the, and then it went away.
Mm.
And now I just make sure to use the leather thimble and not the metal thimble, and I'm fine.
Next time, this is something I learned after, like very recently. If you could squeeze the thimble like very, very tight, it might help. But
yeah, it's probably the
Yeah.
moving.
Yes.
if you
The
find
friction?
maybe. But
Well, and every
sometimes
once in a while, I get one that pokes in and hurts on this side, but that just means it needs to be adjusted.
Mhm.
Mm.
But sometimes if you find the thimble, I mean, no thimble is not my recommendation, but if you have a thimble, that's perfectly fine with me. Okay, so can I ask you this kind of vague question? What did Sashiko become for you? Yeah. There we go. Sharon or Caroline?
Sure. I am kind of busy. I live with my older parents and I do a lot to take care of them. And, my kids are young adults and they require some, I don't know, telephone care and all of that. After I make dinner and I do the dishes, it's a joy to come upstairs and sit down in my own private room and start stitching. And
Mm.
because it's a concrete thing that I can create, sometimes it's making it for a particular person, but it's very satisfying. And part of it is that it's real. I can touch it, I can feel it. I'm improving the fabric, I'm making it prettier or stronger. I don't know. So it's a satisfying part of the day when there are many parts of the day that, it's just things that, I don't know, you do over and over. You cook the dishes, you make the bed, you vacuum. Those aren't as satisfying.
Well, tell me about it. I'm there.
I don't like to vacuum.
I am there with you. So, well, it's kind of defined Sashiko with word, and that's what I'm asking. So it's really difficult, but so it became something you do every day. I mean, not every day, but more like daily
every
stuff.
day. Pretty much every day.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Do you feel weird if you don't do it?
Yes.
Yes, I feel deprived.
Yes.
My day was too busy if I did not get my time to sit down, even if it's only a little bit of time.
Well, that's, in a good way, it's addicted. So thank you so much for, it's healthy. It's very healthy to get. That's very good.
And it doesn't need to be a project. I mean, sometimes I just work on little patches.
Mhm.
And I know that someday I'll use them for something. So it doesn't have to, you don't need to have an end purpose in mind, in other words,
Mhm.
to do it, I think.
Yep. I agree. It's just so that means that you kind of prioritize process than the result.
Yes, I do. I do. I do that with all of my crafting, my knitting, all of it. To learn and be very good at what I'm doing is more important than actually making something.
Interesting.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
So those are
I think
not,
I'm analytical, I guess. That's the right word.
you mean left brain kind of analytical kind of thing?
Well, I have both my brains work. Yeah. My left brain needs an outlet, and my right brain tells it this is the outlet. So, yeah, I like to think both parts of my brain work.
Wow, that sounds pretty busy, but it's so
It
good.
is a busy brain.
Thank you. How
Thank
about
you.
you, Caroline?
For me, there's something very meditative about it. That's very important to me for sure. The meditate that it gives my mind a space to wander a little bit somehow. The regularity of the stitching gives my mind an ability to relax and let go and think about other things, I think. So there's definitely that, but I think I'm also mindful of the fact that, I mean, that, Sashiko is very particular, and I want to make sure I don't just use the word Sashiko as just an excuse to be like, oh, well, I'm just going to stitch and call it Sashiko. So I feel like there's the Japanese aspect of it is also really interesting to me. And knowing a little bit of Japanese, history and creativity, the culture of creativity, I think is important. And for me anyway, that I'm doing something that has historical meaning. Just like when I'm knitting, I'm doing something that's also historical, but in a different way.
So it's like a moment of, how can I say, finding yourself. How can I say? I shouldn't even.
Mindfulness, I think, is a word that
Yes,
that goes well with it. Yes,
that's a good word. Yeah, mindfulness.
Oh, here I have another show and tell item made from Sashiko. My little needle case.
Oh, how cute.
My little needle case.
Just a second. I'm gonna speak up. You just a second. Speak.
Yeah. Oh yes. Okay. Sorry. So here's a needle case. It's made from. Oh wait, the light is so bad. Let's see. Here we go. Let's do this. There we go. So it's a little needle case. So it's got Sashiko on the outside and a little button closure. So that's the outside, and then the inside is where I have my little needles.
Oh boy! Wow.
Wait,
that's so pretty.
Is the inside stitch as well?
No, the inside's just Japanese fabric.
Oh, okay.
That's Japanese fabric, and then there's a little piece of wool that I used to put my Sashiko needles in. So it's my Sashiko needle holder.
Awesome.
I used an old heel guard that somebody else Sashiko stitched long ago. And I did sew up the slit, and then that's my needle, and I used a different fabric on the inside, but that's my needle case.
Oh, cool. Oh, wow, look.
It's really
And then I
nice.
made the button out of lace wood.
Oh my gosh.
Cool.
Wow.
What would?
Lace wood, isn't it
Oh.
unusual looking with the spots and the lines?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow, Sharon, I'm so humbled. I'm really humbled here.
We're all enjoying stitching. It's good.
It's
It's
true.
good.
It's true.
I really want to.
So
Oh, go ahead.
at Sushi, I want to know what your definition of sashiko is. Or how do you, what does it mean to you? Or what's your, yeah.
Well,
And don't say work.
no. Well, it was.
It
Look,
was, yes. Yes.
In the workshop I teach, I said it was my work, but
Mm.
you actually, everybody said it. It's my ordinary and their ordinary too, the Japanese people. So I don't think I can. I cannot imagine my life without Sashiko, and I restarted Sashiko because of my mother's word that she cannot live without Sashiko, and it became my part of life and ordinarily. I don't really have to do. How can I say? I don't need energy to start Sashiko. It's just, you make pancake in the morning. You don't really say to make batter. You just mix it. You don't need any strong power to crack the egg. You just crack the egg. It's the same thing. It's very ordinarily. Like you use the toilet paper after you go to the bathroom. It's. I'm sorry, that was a bad example. Something very ordinary, and I
Very natural.
Yeah.
natural,
Yeah.
natural but necessary.
Okay.
And I want to kind of keep it that way. So, of course.
And
it
do
can
you
be-
think that is for you, that is for most Japanese people that's true, or only because of you and your personal history with sashiko with your family? Do you think
both?
most Japanese people would say sashiko is ordinary? And
I would say both. If they spend enough time in stitching, then they will probably reach to the place that's the, they're ordinary. If they just started doing sashiko, they might focus on the result, and that's perfectly fine. Then they might consider it more like the art and hobby. So it is. I am unique because of my childhood, my experience. But at the same times, it is. I hope people will reach to that ordinarily while stitching. So something I want to share significant is that I am the only one who is not stitching when I talk. Everybody else is stitching while they talk. This is my excuse because English is my second language. If I talk in Japanese, my hand doesn't stop when I talk.
That's
But-
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I have to think. I have to really think. So the good part of the sashiko, when I do sashiko, I really don't focus on here. The top of the needle, do you really pay attention to the tip of the needle all the time? You, of course, look at it. You check it, either if you're following it, but you really don't try to control it all the time. You, of course, you try to control it, but it's not like, how can I say that? You don't drive a car like this. I explained it last time too, but you have a little bit of play. And I
Yeah.
think you learn how to make a play in stitching, and those moment of play is leading us to go to the mindfulness or ordinally. So
And some fabric lets you do that and some doesn't.
Right. Right.
And I have had it with the ones
Yeah.
that don't. Stretchy denim, thin chambray without a backing. No.
Yes.
Don't do that.
Loose leaf linen.
Loose linen, yes, if it's too loose, if it doesn't hold the thread, boop, bad.
That was my fish. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's funny.
Well, I didn't expect to get a question back. So, well, I mean, there are a lot of definitions. Sashiko is the Japanese form of hand stitching. It is, but at the same time, it's like many people think that I hate Sashiko sewing machine. Like many people tell me like, oh, you must hate those sewing machine by machines. Sashiko. I really don't. Like,
I'd kind of like to have a pair of those jeans that Capital sells with the Century denim that has the stitching all over it.
yeah,
I think it's really pretty.
Yeah.
I wouldn't pretend it was handmade, but it's really interesting. I wonder what it feels like.
Yeah.
So, if I say that Sashiko is only hand stitching, if it's my definition, I may exclude some of the people who are doing Sashiko yet not the, well, I don't want to exclude anybody. It might sound contradicting to what I write on the Instagram, but deep down, I really don't want to exclude. I want to just bring everybody in the group, and I want to just, I don't want to even push. I want to just stand at the end of the line to make sure that everybody goes front, not running around to hurt somebody. So by me defining Sashiko, people will understand that my definition may be the right. So if I say hand stitching, people automatically assume that I hate sewing machine. I do use sewing machine, and so I think just the Japanese kicking it. It's so difficult.
Are you going to talk about pizza again?
No.
Okay.
That's
All right.
why. That is why I'm not using that example, because you are tired of the pizza example.
I'm not tired of the pizza example, but I think well, from what you say, and if I'm hearing it correctly, you're being very inclusive, that there's not one right way of doing this.
Mhm.
There are many different ways, but there is a very common history and certain basic concepts that we need to understand and appreciate, rather than running around saying every running stitch is a sashiko stitch, or a certain pattern that's sashiko, and or if you patch something together, that's boro. No, it's really not. There's meaning behind all of those things. Is that right? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes, very true. It's if they choose to use the word boro with knowing the stories behind it, I'm perfectly fine. So, for example, Caroline says that she's very careful in using the word. I really appreciate it, but at the same time, I do not get offended or pain or hurt, even if she called something super colorful patchwork as boro. I wouldn't get. I would like to talk about with you, why she's doing that, and I want to learn from it. But it doesn't mean that I will jump to say that that's not boro. So it is very Japanese. We don't make decision. We don't make conclusion. We leave it as is. It's very horrible as a politician. But it's a culture that we don't really decide what is right. Therefore, there's no, like, usually culture has those dispute within, like, what is right, what is wrong. Like, Ikebana has those history of splitting. Sado, those are the very traditional culture, but in the ordinary Japanese people, they really don't like dispute. I didn't like it, and none of my artisans liked dispute. So ordinary Japanese people try to leave the question or discussion away, and they ignore it. They don't ignore it, but they keep it as is. So I never heard that some Sashiko people saying the other Sashiko is wrong.
Mhm.
No, I have not. Like there's a sashiko with not, there's a sashiko without symbol. That's perfectly fine. And they don't really attack us or we don't attack them.
Mhm.
And that's
So-
how sashiko. Go ahead.
But once it becomes something American or in English, I think that those things do
Yeah.
happen. The
Yes.
people who do it this way say, this is the only way. Read my book.
Right. Right.
That's the things
But-
I'm kind of worried about. But
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
It's good you speak
Yeah.
up to say, no, there's room for many different. Well, and regionally, it was done many different ways in Japan.
yes,
Mhm.
still there
It's
are.
what you learned from your mother, you know?
No,
your grandmother.
Yeah, like my family.
Right.
My mother is too weird. She's a genius but nightmare. So no, please
Most
don't.
artists are. Most artists are.
She's
They're always a little weird.
you will meet like if we after COVID when we have a chance to go to Japan, you'll meet her. But she is. Oh, Caroline, you know her.
I met her. I did meet her. She was lovely. She speaks
Yeah,
no
I met
English,
her.
so there's
I
that.
met-
How did you
Yeah.
walk like 2 miles to Pearl Soho without English?
We did a little bit
Yeah.
of, I don't know, hand movements. I don't know. It was
Right.
fine.
She was talking with Sharon, not this Sharon, different Sharon, for 3 hours about my complaints to me. Like
Your grievances.
Sharon is the Jewish mom of me, and my mother is a Japanese mother, and how difficult he is, how stubborn he is, and
Oh boy.
wow, it's fortunate to have many who understand. Well, I don't know if they understand, but they do. So that
Is it Japanese culture to be humble about your children?
yes, to the extreme.
Okay.
Really? Okay.
Oh, my son is so stupid. So
Ah.
they say it
I-
in front of everybody.
I had friends who thought their kids literally walked on water. They would talk about them playing the piano and how brilliant it was and beautiful. And I was like, oh, great. I'm looking forward to hearing them. And then I would hear them and I was like, this is just a kid playing the piano. The rhythm is terrible.
Yeah.
They're learning. Good for them. They're trying, but this is nothing great. I was like, man, it must be fun to have a mother that thinks you walk on water. I wouldn't know. I didn't have one. And I don't think I was that mother either. I was very realistic. You do this well and you're struggling here.
Yeah. My
I'm-
mother
I'm-
was like that too.
I'm not a big fan of Japanese culture. I shouldn't say it, but
This
like,
comment will be deleted from YouTube later.
no. I always say that I don't really. It's love and hate. There are
Mm.
something I love, but some of the things are like the school grading. My mother was also one of those strict Asian mothers, so like 100% is normal, 99% is you can do better, 98 what's going on.
Mm.
So what
I
was
don't
that
think
joke?
that's just a Japanese thing. I mean, my parents were the same way.
Oh,
you
really?
know,
Okay.
It's like, oh yeah. Well, they were both college professors. Maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. But it was like I received 100% on my grade, and it's like, and what's the point? Yeah, that's what you should be getting. What's the problem? Why are you so proud? That kind of.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think that's unless they were Japanese, and I didn't know.
There might be. I mean, oh, it's not a Japanese, probably Asian too. I shouldn't say it's Japanese. It's
Yeah.
more Asian thing to do. But yeah, there are a lot of things that I want to share in terms of such. I hope I'm not twisting my message. Well,
What do you mean, Atsushi?
no. Like I don't want to create any misunderstanding. And this is the reason the live session is very difficult because I have to think
In English,
in English. There we go. Thank you so much.
right?
I think
Yeah.
there's the things that make some aspects of Japanese culture so amazing, the artisanship, the dedication to learning to do things well, to dedicating your life to some small thing,
Mhm.
it's kind of another side of there can be some rigidity in the culture that
Mhm.
doesn't leave a lot of room for people sometimes to discover new and different and who they are, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But part of why some things are so beautiful that they've done there is because they've taken it so much time and mastered the craft.
Mhm.
Mhm. So I think that's another. There was a big movement about, I mean, sorry, big movement in Japanese folk art. We call it minge, and that's probably what Sharon said right now is that they really didn't try to be the artisan or artist with name. They didn't care about their name much. They were part of the kind of big crafting industry. So there were some people probably who did sashiko stitching straight line only for 50 years, 60 years.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
And always, but that's kind of their way to get through the difficult days. So it is important to understand that some people wish to be anonymous,
Mhm.
although outside of Japan, like it sometimes feel very strange to me that people use the word sashiko to be famous, because most of the sashiko artisans I know in Japan try to be less famous, which contradict because I try to use sashiko to, you know, offer the bigger publicity. So it's very, but I'm the Marvel. I'm the very weird sashiko artisans. If I have to categorize myself, many people didn't like me as the sashiko artisans. Not many. Everybody, like all of them didn't like me saying that I'm the sashiko artisans in my family because I did something outside of their box. Although I'm inside of the box, I was outside of their box, and they didn't. Like stitching on denim is not something they really didn't approve until the end.
Mm.
But I like it.
I like it. I'm working on that now.
I like it. Sorry, but I like it, and you know, sorry. But at the same time, I want to leave those voice that they left to me. They were so scary. There was so scary kind of statement, not a thesis statement, but some slogan statement in our family. You start as a beginner when you become 60 years old. 70, you kind of elementary. 80, you can say yourself as an artisan. And at the age of 100, you start thinking about retirement. How about me? I was 15. Like, am I what? In the father's body or what? I might be a protein or something. If that's the, but that's how they really focus on the artisanship,
Mm.
and they were proud of that.
Well, that's very Japanese, isn't it?
It is probably.
I think. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of dying culture, but and I just want to share that fun. Some people don't understand what is the fun of just stitching like this.
Mhm.
They haven't done it enough.
Yeah. But in a sense, I would think that, and I'm only using my own experience. So, for example, I said I'm a knitter. My husband's family is from Ireland. He's first generation American, and not one of them knits. And when I asked why, this was a tradition, in their culture. This is a proud tradition. And they said, because it's work. We don't do this. We had to do it when, times were rough and when we were in school, but this is work. This is not fun. How can you find this fun? On and on and on and on. So I think many, I'm going to go on a limb, but I would say most cultures have similar feelings about things
Mhm.
that we treasure from that culture,
Mhm.
you know, that it was work and they don't understand why we're sitting here, you know, much less on a Zoom call and on YouTube, stitching away and being very happy doing so. I don't know,
Oh,
my
it is.
opinion.
It is. So
Yeah.
the reason I keep sharing those information is that Sashiko is something that Japanese, I think we can say the Japanese own as the word and culture, but this stitching itself is not ours only. It existed everywhere in the world simultaneously around
Mhm.
that age. So either they have their own name or something else. With mixing the philosophy or culture, it becomes a little bit something special, but I don't think stitching itself is, well, we're not doing anything special at this moment.
Mm.
Understanding Sashiko is making our stitches a little bit more special, maybe, but it's anybody can do it, and it's not like super skill that somebody has to spend 10 years.
Mm.
I'm still thinking about what is Sashiko because it is really I'm I'm trying to avoid to think about it because if I summarize it, I have a fear that I might forget somebody within that definition. But one of the things I can say for sure is that I want to make a place. This is it. This is so I my dream came true. It's- we tend to be alone in stitching. I was very alone when I was a child, and I have been alone too. Stitching or even like hand working is can be very lonely, and in this society, being lonely can be sometimes cruel. But if
Mm.
I can have a place to kind of check up, you know, we stitch together, we share the moment, we know you are there instead of she might be there somewhere stitching. Like I can care. I can care that you are there is what I really value. And that's something that I don't want to
Mhm.
miss spill out.
The
And that's what
community of
community,
stitching.
Yeah,
community.
right, right.
And you know, I might just be dead tomorrow here. And I thank God I have a family to find out. So they will find out. But there are a possibility of being forgotten. So dying is not a problem, but being forgotten is a little bit scary for me. It's my thing, but
Mm.
dying is not that significant, but be forgotten is a little bit more scarier. But by creating those community and be part of it, I will probably live a little longer. See, that's getting super personal, right? So,
Mm.
but that's how I kind of think as Sashiko. I probably didn't tell you this story, but in one part of the village in Japan, this is the hard story, so I don't know if it's right or wrong, but in that village, every family owns the pattern. Did I share this story before?
Mm-mm.
No.
I
So
don't think so.
Asanoha pattern has a meaning, right?
Mhm.
Asanoha means the hemp leaf. Hemp leaf
Yeah.
hemp leaf is the uh, evil repellent. So they use that pattern for the babies mostly. But those meaning can be different based on the region, the small village. In one village, each family owns the Asanoha. So for example, Atsushi family, Futatsuya families owns Asanoha, and Sharon's family owns the Shippo. And
Oh my.
Okay.
that's their ownership, that patterns. Um, you know why that they own it?
Oh,
No,
why?
why?
Because if they go to the mountain and got eaten by bear, they know which family he is.
Oh,
Oh,
Based on
oh
his
my
clothing.
gosh. Oh
So
my
bear
gosh.
doesn't finish eating clothing.
Right.
I mean, the bear might eat a little bit of cloth, but he doesn't eat all of the fabric. So that means that they were part of the community. They cared each other. Well, they didn't care enough to save him, but they cared enough to not to forget about him.
Okay.
But that's my point. Like, it happened. Sorry, but it happened. The bear was there. I'm sorry, he was eaten, but he is not forgotten. He was found there.
Mm.
And then I think that's related to spirituality too. Oh my God, what am I talking?
Oh,
Oh my, stop! Please stop me, okay? Whew.
we like when you do that.
All right, if you like it, I'm okay.
It's good to hear the stories. I enjoy them.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not-
do too.
I'm not saying I want to be eaten by bear, okay? That's
Well,
not the
no,
story.
of course
Okay.
not. But
But at the same time, my grandfather was a hunter, and we ate a lot of bears, so we
Oh.
might carry a lot of spirit from bear. It's so scary. All right. Oh my God, that was. Can you believe it has been hour and 10 minutes or so, like 70
Really?
minutes?
So
Oh my
fast.
That goes super
I
fast.
can't believe I'm still awake.
Yeah, it's 10 o'clock. I will finish it up like in
No.
15 minutes if it's
Oh,
okay.
no, please.
Oh, no,
I'm in
no.
California, so for me it's
I'm
only 7 o'clock. 7:15.
I'm happy to stay as long as others want to.
I might fall asleep.
Okay. That's different.
You don't want to see me falling asleep during my live session, not live
That
session.
would be embarrassing.
So yeah, it's
Yeah.
so interesting. Oh, you are the people who prove me wrong. I really, it's so embarrassing, but I used to think, or I used to really think, and well, I have to admit, I used to think that in order to pass down this rhythm or mindfulness, I thought that person has to understand Japanese language or has to be living in Japan or something that they have to learn the Japanese thing. You prove me wrong. So you don't have to be Japanese to enjoy this rhythm. It's very good to see you stitching.
But I think you have to be open and curious about others in order
Yes.
to get to that point. I've met others who say that they can stitch sashiko and so forth, and they don't really understand what we're talking about. So
it's not wrong, but it's a little bit
no, but it's not the
not the
well,
whole.
it's there's a fable type story that I remember when I was a little kid, and I think it's very applicable to this. Do you ever hear the story of the blind man and the elephant?
Yes.
Okay, so basically, and I'm just going to make it quick because it's a long story. So basically, these gentlemen were presented with an elephant, but they were all blind, and they were asked to describe what the elephant was. So one of them reached out and got the trunk, and he said, "Oh, an elephant is like a snake." Another one put his hand against the elephant's side and said, "Oh, it's strong like a wall. It's like a wall." Another one touched the leg and said, "It's like a tree trunk," and on and on and on. And the fable of it is that even though every one of them was correct, they were all wrong because they didn't have the full picture of what they were dealing with. And to me, when I speak to other people about sashiko or any cultural art, if they don't have that kind of openness to try to understand, then that's what they're missing.
Can I use that story?
Yes, you can. I will send you a better synopsis.
That
You may
explains a
use
lot.
that story, absolutely.
I have to memorize it, but that's
No, I'll send it to you. It's a very famous old story.
that's it. So I'm
Yeah. So now you have something besides pizza.
yeah, thank you. So sometimes pizza can be very personal because
Yeah.
some people, don't like Chicago pizza. Too much preference. Like we had a big discussion about pineapple, right, Sharon?
Yep. Yes.
I'm sorry, but I really don't like it.
Me neither. Sorry, Sharon.
We gotta
Well, that's why I
try.
brought it up, was because I said some people love it, some people really
Don't-
dislike it.
Exactly. So it's okay. That's
To
the
me, it's
preference.
dessert.
But that's it. That's the difference. And I don't want anybody to deny the pizza on pineapple on
Yeah.
the pizza, which I am denying right now. But it's the figure of speech. I'm just kidding. But it is easy to define one thing, but it is not easy to describe the whole.
Right.
Yes.
Because the Japanese don't describe it by themselves. Why then don't? Why not? They did not establish as the culture, so that's why I really don't. It is not my intention to attack the other people, but like I don't go somebody's website, knock the door, and say you're doing something wrong. I never done that. I will never do it. If they come to my house and say that, you're doing it wrong, then I might fight back. But again, they will come to the stage eventually if they keep doing it. Like, or they cannot continue, probably. Sashiko became the trend in last 3 years, probably 1 year.
Oh, yeah. Slow stitching and all of that.
I would say like 99% of the people will probably move on when things changed. So
But not this group, right?
I mean,
No.
as long as I
We'll
can
still
tell,
be here. We'll
as
still be
long as
here.
I can tell. I mean, it is okay to kind of get bored with Sashiko. Trust me, I'm the professional of getting bored with Sashiko. Like last 25 years, I have hated Sashiko more than anybody else. So it is okay to not like Sashiko for a period of time, but when you come back, I hope you can do it. You will probably, well, you will be able to do it. It's impossible to undo. Like, can you stitch without this thimble with expecting to have thimble? I can't. So, but yeah, please keep enjoying with your own, own preference. That's what I want to see. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think that if Sashiko had been a super well-defined skill like Ikebana or the embroidery they do on silk, I think I would have been too intimidating to learn.
I agree.
It's quite strict. Some Japanese culture are,
Yes.
they don't really teach. They ask you to learn by watching it. And you have certain things to go through. And I understand some people like that way too, but I want to make sure that I explain enough. Sashiko is not that. I think do you, and sometimes, have you ever tried miso soup?
Yes.
Do you like miso soup?
It's sort of, I'm not crazy about it. It's sort of like drinking seawater and pretending it's soup.
Oh,
I didn't love it.
I like it as long as the tofu isn't too big.
Oh.
It's like I don't find tofu that tasty.
So, well, that's another conversation about the pizza on, pineapple. So,
What's the
w-
question?
what makes miso soup is, of course, miso, but there's one more ingredient that we have to always have, which is broth, dashi.
Mhm,
So
Mhm.
if you pour the hot water into the miso, that's not a miso soup. That's the okay. That's a brown seawater. I'm sorry to
Yeah.
say.
Oh my gosh.
So there's something Sharon had may not had a dashi, which is
Maybe- Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
like it literally tastes like a brown seawater if there's
Oh
no
my
dashi.
gosh.
And I like the taste of dashi. I've had
Okay.
dashi rice and dashi stew, and it's
All right.
wonderful.
All right.
I
The
bet it was
subtle taste.
missing the dashi.
Yep. Make sure to put it, even if it's chemical, put it. Just don't forget about it.
Funny.
But sashiko is the same. Sometimes, um, I when I see people doing sashiko without the rhythm, I
Mhm.
sometimes feel that they are missing the most delicious part of sashiko. It's
Yes.
not like
Yes.
I'm not upset. Like, oh, I couldn't even verbalize it, but that's probably honest feeling. Like it's not wrong. It's not, but I want them to know that it's not a brown seawater.
Yes. And that's what I
Mm.
think of the ones where they buy a pattern and you stitch from the front and the stitch length and everything is all prescribed and they go like
Mhm.
this.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Yes, they're missing the fun.
And it is okay to
Yeah.
start like that. There's nothing wrong to start, and that there's nothing wrong to enjoy that. But that's a little bit missing. That's probably the feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you learn how to draw the patterns by yourself, you can stitch on anything.
Mhm.
Um, you can make anything. So yeah.
I thought it was really interesting in your last Sashiko live talk that the woman who was the guest talked about she was stitching on some really old linen. And when she tried to do a pattern, it didn't work. And that's kind of one of the nice things about denim is it's sturdy enough you can do a pattern. But on
Mhm.
when I'm using the old katazome, even though it's on a linen backing, I'm not doing a pattern. I'm just doing the straight stitches that are parallel.
Mm.
And I didn't know that was kind of a universal thing. And I hadn't really thought about the fact the old sashiko I remember seeing like at the museum.
Mm.
It isn't patterns. It's straight. And even when they do like the kogen, which is really super strengthening for the fabric, it's still straight
Mhm.
stitches next to each other.
Yeah. 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 I recently tried Kogan and well, I didn't like it because it reminded me too much of cross stitch.
Yeah.
It was a little boring for me. But yeah, I noticed that as well.
It's interesting to how could this so I want you to go. I want everybody to go outside of the box with knowing what is inside of the box.
Mhm.
I don't think I can be any of you, which is great. I shouldn't even try to be any of you. I just enjoy, and it is happening in Japan as well. So I really like to introduce that. Those I want to have those. I want to combine those two places that I have in Japanese, which I do sometimes, like the same platform, same style, and one like this. And it's so much COVID that I hated. It was gonna happen last October.
Well,
Well,
It will again.
yeah,
It will
It
find
will.
It
it
will.
will
It will.
someday.
Yeah.
Just think how much more fun it's going to be when we all appreciate it.
Oh, it'll be
that
so
much more.
special. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We'll appreciate it that much more.
It's funny. My church just opened up again and I went last week. Ah, it's so special to get to
Yeah.
go and see your people. And I don't know, it's just so special. Yeah, because we haven't
I
done it
can't
for
wait.
so long.
Yeah, I can't leave the house. I have lupus, so I've only been able to leave for doctor's appointments. So people said, "What's the first thing you're going to do?" I said, "Go to a restaurant and have somebody else cook for me." And the
Oh,
second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give my mother-in-law and father-in-law a big hug because I miss them tremendously and I haven't seen them. So, yeah, it's hard.
yep, it's very difficult.
Anyway.
Are you Sharon? I'm sorry, Caroline. You moved there completely?
No, we still have our apartment in New York.
Oh, okay. Because the
So-
COVID changed everything, and I thought
What's that?
it was before
COVID. Oh, yeah.
COVID, right? The COVID changed everything, and
Well, it changed our work. It allowed us to
Right,
work
right.
from anywhere. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's why we moved here. I wanted to move here for years, but I never thought I could. But
So
here I
where
am.
are you now?
Where are you?
Santa Barbara, California.
Oh my gosh,
it's
that's a
lovely
very
there.
big change. Yeah,
Yes, it's a huge
So
change.
wonderful.
Beautiful there.
Yes, it's beautiful. That's the thing, is how beautiful it is. Cannot be It's just the most gorgeous place. I just,
Mhm.
yeah, I find it really inspirational. Like just walking around, going to the
Yeah.
beach,
Mhm.
going on walks
Clean
in
air.
nature, and
Awesome.
that's nice.
every
No
time
snow.
No snow
Yeah.
is also huge. I hate the snow. Tired of snow.
why am I in the middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania?
I don't know. It's
Oh,
a
wow.
mystery.
And my
A
wife got a
mystery.
job here.
Ah.
Well, job is I can say whatever I want because I don't have to worry about tomorrow's food.
Hmm.
I mean, if I have to worry about
True.
tomorrow's place, it's kind of scary to
Yeah.
say whatever I want.
Yeah.
Then it becomes work, like my 10 years ago, stuff like that. It's so, how can I say, rewarding.
Hmm.
This might be a very great place to actually even ask. Are you interested in being a part of big plot, big piece? I'm not explaining.
Yes.
I'm not explaining well enough.
Like the jacket, the community jacket?
Yes.
Yes, I am. That would be
Oh,
wonderful.
what's
Oh,
that
cool.
about?
So
What is that?
Keiko designs something. It might not be a jacket. It might be something else. But Keiko will tell us what kind of patterns we stitch. We stitch. We will send it to your place, and you stitch, and we ship it back to Keiko, and she will make it as the piece. So it's
Oh,
gonna be the same pattern. Well, maybe different, but it's exactly same pattern. You may be able to choose the color. There might be some specified color, but very identical patterns. But those stitches are completely different by person.
Mhm.
But she will make it one piece.
Wow, cool.
That would
Yeah.
be very,
that would be wonderful.
Yeah. I think I can tell you this, but since it's gonna be 10th year, like 10 days from now, for the earthquake,
Oh, wow.
I
it got
helped-
you back to Sashiko.
Yeah.
that time that I got back to Sashiko, and I helped those projects, and that means like they made a business out of nothing in this 10 year. They're trying to ask Keiko to make one big piece, and I'm kind of thinking to ask the other Japanese people to help together. So it's like a 3 groups: those people in Otsuchi and the Japanese people that I share. And I was wondering if I could do it in the US, but by looking at your stitches, I think I can do it. So wait for the update, please. anybody can join. But yeah, the result is one of those jacket. I can probably show you. Well, I cannot show. Can I show you? Oh, I'll just place the link for that. Sorry, I don't know how
You
to
put
do
it on
this.
our special group.
Sure, the group. There's a group.
know, our special group.
Group. Oh yeah.
Right?
Or just I will paste the link here to that photo.
That's
So I didn't really stitch much today.
you didn't.
I,
Oh no.
I stopped stitching after your question.
Okay. Sorry.
No. It was the Caroline's question.
Oh, okay.
What
Sorry.
is no apologies. It was a very good opportunity to think. What is Sashiko for me?
Well, I just finished doing the edging.
Holy.
Oh my gosh.
So
Are you a
that's all done.
machine?
See, like
Pretty
I
quick.
don't know.
It's pretty quick.
She's
The
super
edging.
fast.
Gosh.
So now I just have to make the bag.
Wow.
Sharon is also super fast when she work on the denim.
Hmm?
It sure is.
I'm working on this little denim jumper. So
Oh my goodness.
Whole stitching takes what, a few weekends, I guess?
I've been working on other projects too, but yeah, I could do this whole thing in, I don't know. If I just did this, it would be 2 days probably to do all of it, but
Mm,
See?
wow.
Everybody can get there.
Yes.
I'm not joking. Everybody can get there.
No, you're right.
Just keep stitching. That was a very good advice. Keep stitching. It is.
It is.
It is.
Oh, it is.
and Z, if you decide to try denim, make sure it's soft and old, not new and hard.
Oh no, it has to be soft. I have very small hands, and there's no way that I can get over.
No
Not gonna
stretchy
happen.
denim. No stretch.
Oh gosh,
No,
no.
no,
That will
no,
make you
no,
swear.
No. I've learned my favorite fabrics and my favorite threads, and no.
I like the fabric Atsuchi sells, and I like
Yes,
nice old denim that's not loose, the heavier
Right.
denim, not denim, linen. Linen is very
Linen.
nice when it's
yeah.
kind of the old European linen is really nice to
Mhm.
see.
Like
Not
an
very
Irish
digital.
linen.
Yeah, or
Like an Irish linen.
Lithuanian or French or,
Yeah. Yeah, those are really nice.
What I'm stitching right now is not the one I usually stitch. I think it's probably very close to vintage. Yesterday I was preparing this fabric and I couldn't stop sneezing, so it's
Oh,
I have some things that I've bought from my aunt or when I was in Japan,
Mhm.
and I cannot take scissors to them and cut them apart. So I can't use them for projects. They just have become like items to be enjoyed, I guess, as they are. It's funny. So the vintage fabric, if it's really beat up, I can use it because it's already like ruined and not useful unless you do something with it. But
Mhm.
something that's still, I don't know, more together, I often can't cut it. I can't do anything with it.
mm,
I don't know if this is gonna be a good advice, but if you could make something to use heavily, like scarf or something very, the bag is not gonna be fast enough to damage the vintage fabric, but the scarf
Right.
is very more opportunity for the friction.
To get the wear.
oh,
Yeah.
So
Okay.
this is my mother's word. So borrow is not something to make; it's something to raise, like a
I
child.
like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like
So
that.
there's no ending. Like the borrow is always a child, and it's always the troublesome. I don't know what she was like. I don't know if she was talking about me or somebody else or borrow, but but she said that there was something to. So when she gives me borrow, when she sells borrow, she said, "Go on, like please do something after this."
Well, and keep fixing it, right? Don't let it be
She-
finished.
She
Right.
tells you how to fix it
That's so good.
if she were them, but she never says the end.
Yeah.
That's probably the key of Boro.
That makes sense.
So what like, today what everybody's stitching can be Boro in the future if we keep stitching. What Caroline's made, it can be a very good Boro with that patterns. And it doesn't have to be vintage fabric. It doesn't have to be super authentic fabric. It can be printed fabric. Anything is fine. Anything is fine. Might be a strong word, but for the fabric, I think anything is fine. If you use the Japanese vintage fabric, it's much easier to get the result because it's already, right. It's like asking 40 years old person to. No, I shouldn't say those things. No, I don't know. I don't know where I'm gonna go.
I wanted to show you something that I found. I was looking through my boxes of fabric and I found this piece of velvet that had been put on a jacket to replace the binding around the collar.
What?
Oh, wow.
Isn't it? I'm going to use it for a project. It's just so worn and weird. And I took it off and put on a new piece that was in a little better condition.
Wow. What is the game? I'm sorry.
It's velvet that I took off of a Japanese jacket.
Oh.
It was the
Is it-
collar.
Stitchable, you think?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know. Here, I've got a needle. Oh, it's a little tight. Might make me swear.
Different needle, maybe?
Oh, this is my. It's a little tight. It would work. I don't think you could do 20 stitches. You could do 4 or 5.
Okay, that works.
Okay.
I used to do on the denim. That was a bad idea. Canvas is a bad idea. Roll
Oh,
denim
canvas is
horrible.
not fun. Coated
No.
fabric.
Yeah.
There's a thing.
Oilcloth, things like that.
I got the bucket bag pattern from this woman called Honeyfolk Clothing, and she glues her fabric, her pieces of fabric together before she stitches it through them. And it just makes me shudder. She makes really cute things, but I am not gluing things together before I stitch through it. Can you imagine the gunk that would get on your needle?
You
It
know,
just sounds awful.
I've met a few people who use glue and swear by it, and I just can't.
Glue,
It sounds horrible.
Yeah.
but glue doesn't. Glue. Glue.
Glue,
I
glue
did-
stick. It's
yeah,
a glue
glue.
stick, a
Like-
fabric
Stick,
glue
yeah.
stick. And then they stitch through it. I'm like, baste it if you want, but or pins.
Right.
I not
Mm.
glue.
I found
but
these.
the
Does anybody know these? Let me see if I could show them.
Oh, that's cute. It's a special kind of pen, like a safety
Yeah,
pin.
it's a little Japanese pin. Quilters use them. They
Cute.
have a little bend down here. They're
Mhm.
great. I'm one of those people, if I have a straight pin, I always wind up poking myself. But these are great because they hold the fabric here and then you have this whole section above and it doesn't warp. You know how sometimes you
Mhm.
put the pins and it warps? It doesn't do that. Have you ever used these in sushi?
I'm a big fan of basting, so.
Yeah, I like basting also, but sometimes, you have a couple layers.
Yeah. I'm not judging or anything. Just
Oh, I know you're not.
I'm not really for. I still glue stick glue.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know.
Well,
That's what
actually-
I'm shuddering.
So there's a kind of quilting called English paper piecing,
Yes.
where you
Those-
it's mostly it's often hexagons,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you're hand stitching the hexagons together. And I've been making a quilt that's English paper pieced, and I am actually using the glue to attach the
Paper, right?
The
Attach your
paper-
paper to the. I understand, but
to the fabric, and then later, after the whole thing is done, you take out the paper.
the paper plus fabric is understandable because the glue
Yeah.
will stick on the paper.
Yeah, the glue sticks the fabric to the paper. Yeah.
Fabric to fabric, there's a glue in between besides the crazy glue. Or what is that called? super glue that you
Super
fix
glue?
which is super
That I
expensive.
wouldn't do.
Oh,
Yeah.
no,
Not
it's a
super
glue stick.
It's a glue
It's a
stick.
glue, right,
Yeah.
it's a stick. Like
Here,
the
I can.
kind of,
I have one. Yeah,
You have
it's a,
one?
stick?
it's
Yeah,
like it's
yeah.
a special glue stick, but it's made for fabric.
Oh,
It's
there's a
specifically
And when you
for
put your
fabric.
needle through, does it feel okay?
Well, I don't know because I'm stitching along the edge, and there really isn't a lot
Yeah,
of
there
glue
isn't
there.
any glue. That's okay.
So, yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
all right,
but it's gonna wash it
Yeah.
off, so you can probably stitch after.
Yes, and it washes out.
okay.
But you're not washing it until after you pieced it together.
Well,
Ah,
but you
gotcha.
you sorry, I'm feeling confused. Okay, so there's a glue that washes away, but it's not like those cows.
Not like
blood, right?
Elmer's glue.
Elmer's
No.
glue? No.
No,
Oh, okay.
no. It's very
Yeah.
thin. It's very,
Oh,
yeah,
so
and it's not,
specific. Okay.
it's specifically made for fabric gluing, and it's for doing this English paper piecing. And and you're just using a teeny bit just to attach the fabric to the paper.
Does it? There is something. Well, we call it adhesive, so I didn't really click the glue and the same thing.
Yeah.
But that
Oh,
does it,
got it. Yeah.
does it stay there forever, or you have?
No, when you wash the quilt, it comes out.
So do
Okay.
you have to pick all the paper off at the? at
Yeah,
some
but it's really easy. It's super easy to pull out the
Oh.
paper
Okay.
because the glue's not that sticky. That's the thing. It's not crazy sticky. It's just enough to hold the fabric in place till you stitch it, and then it's
Mhm.
pretty easy to peel the fabric off.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I might try.
Here, should I show you? Here,
As much
I'll
as
show
I
you my English paper
sounds-
piecing.
sounds
Yeah.
weird, but
Sure.
sometimes patching the denim is very challenging to do the bastings.
I mean,
That's a
yeah. So
Oh, wow.
this is what I've done so
Wow.
far. There's still a lot to go, but
holy.
Holy moly.
well, it's supposed to be a queen size bit for a queen size bed, so I still have a lot to do.
Hmm.
But so you can see on the back, there's all the papers.
Is that the same thing you showed me 3 years ago, or different?
Probably.
But that was
Probably.
this small.
Could be. Now it's a lot bigger, but I
Wow.
still have a lot to do.
Wow. Wow.
So yeah, so that's the paper in the inside on the back. And you can
And-
it's glued, the paper is glued to the
Right.
yeah.
I thought
But
that
it's
was
really-
the Elmer's glue. That's not Elmer's glue.
No, it's
No,
not.
no.
Here, it's this. Where is it? Hold on.
Okay.
La,
I'll Google.
la.
So-
It is
Wait, was it the conversation about not good or good? Well, we don't know because we don't know. The Sharon doesn't like it because it might be more stiff.
I haven't tried it. It just sounded difficult,
here.
Okay.
unpleasant. So it's good to
Yeah.
hear from somebody that's used it.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's this stuff. Sew line here.
Oh,
It
okay.
looks like this.
Oh,
It's just like a little pen, and
Oh,
it's just like a little stick. That's the glue.
oh, okay.
so it's not liquid.
That's
So
it.
it's a glue stick actually.
It's like a glue stick. Yeah, it is exactly a glue stick. It's not like a glue stick. It is a glue stick,
Oh,
but it's specially
Okay.
made for fabric.
then I might try that. I
Yeah.
might try that. It's a little. After saying I am a big fan of basting, it's kind of contradictory, but sometimes.
Well, sometimes you just need to do something else, right?
But I'll make a report that if it's good to stitch over that.
That's, I want to hear that. Yes.
It's nice to share different tools because sometimes we don't have access to the certain things.
Yeah, well, I was
You
not
know?
encouraged to use something new, so I'm very at the venture for that.
Ah.
If there's anything I can do. Okay, thank you so much for joining this Sashiko talk, the third one. Is there anything we can share a little bit later? Not a little bit, like at last. Well,
Like
we will
now?
now. Like I'm wrapping it up. I'm wrapping it up. So if there's anything you would like to share,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
what
made
is
my
that?
own fabric while we were talking.
Made your own fabric?
Well, see the stripes that are going across? I decided to make a design on the top, like if this was woven into it. And I think I'm going to add more and more stitches going through. It's
sorry.
that beautiful thread that you sent me. That beautiful blue
Wow.
variegated.
Oh,
So
I like
nice.
the way it
beautiful.
looks. I like the way it looks on the beige.
Oh, it's stitched. You stitched.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
I stitched the verticals.
I thought you woven now. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So it looks like it's part of the
Wow.
fabric. I'm
Wow.
happy with this.
I like it. It's.
Yeah.
It didn't
I'll-
look like a stitching.
No, I'll send you a picture. It'll show up better.
Great. That'd be great.
That's all I
Okay.
did.
I
Someone else probably made a kimono by now.
probably. I'm
Thank
the slowest stitcher today because half of the time I was thinking, which is good, which is very important. Okay, so I try to do this every 2 weeks, and most likely it's gonna be on Sunday night. If you could join, you're always welcome to join, and I will keep the links. If you have any questions to bring up to talk about it here, that's it's open space. But if you like to, talk about something specific, that's very appreciated. Also, for the viewers who is watching this, if you have any questions, please leave the comments, so we might be able to catch up that later on in the next live Sashiko talk. Okay. It has been 2 hours, almost 2 hours.
My gosh.
Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you so much, everybody. I will just
Thank
shut
you.
down.
Thank you. Everyone have a great
Bye.
night.
Good night.
Yes. Good
Bye.
night.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. I will.